Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's mini workshop on Take the Hit as a Gift, how to own your challenges and turn them into inspiration. We'll start, before we go into introduction, with a short recap of the generative coaching model. And then, as I just said before I started the recording, after the generative coaching introduction, I just have 2 slides on that to recap for everybody. I'd like to do a quick who is who, and then enter into today's topic of the hit and the gift. I will start this with what a beautiful title, the State Relationship Event Experience Model. Which gives a little all-in-one foundation of what I want to do today. And then I would like to invite you to play games, and that is the Own Your Challenges games. I have, they're lightweight, I hope, and then I'll close by putting it all together. So, generative coaching states 4 premises in its work. The first is we create our reality. That means reality in essence is a construct. The reality that we create is highly dependent on the filters that we apply on whatever input we get. So that is the second point. Reality is created through our representational maps. The third premise is that we think in holons and holarchies. Like, take the human body. It is one complete thing, yet it consists also of complete things like cells or organs. You say that your heart is one complete thing, and the body, the person, is one whole thing. And the heart is a part of the body, just as we as persons are part of higher unities like society or nature or the universe. A very important aspect then is that it depends very much on how we actually hold our filters, whether we are in a mindful state or in a mindless state. So the state in which we are in has a strong and high impact on how we actually perceive that and feel and engage with that, what we perceive. So that's the 4 premises that kind of underlie the system, and I will keep it short here because I would actually like to take on this ball and play with it a little later after our introductions. So let me share this slide about the 6 steps of the generative coaching model. The first step always has to do with creating a coach state. That holds true both for the coach, and it holds true for the coachee, and it holds true for the interaction of coach and coachee together. So that's step number 1. Make it so that everybody is in a constructive and open and change open creative state. The second step in the generative coaching process works upon the intention, the goal that you want to achieve. And I remind you real quick that we typically do that on a verbal level, like 5 words or less. 5 words or less would be the number of words that we try to allow so that we have it in a really distinct and precise and short way. We try to look for a visual representation, like what the image that goes with that would be the ritual wording. And then we also want to establish the intention on a somatic level. So what gesture, what pose, what move, what bodily representation would also fit the intention and the goal that we want to achieve. The third step then is about the generative state. So starting from a code state in state 1, now we try to get the 3 connections going. We try to intensify and stabilize the connection to the goal, to the intention that we have just created in step number 2. We also intensify and hold the connection to ourselves. And as a third connection, we want to have connection to all the resources that we can actually use and make use of in order to walk towards the goal, towards the intention that we have set. Then it's time to paint out the timeline. Typically in generative coaching, we want to do that in a somatic way. So we take one place on the ground, which is like today, and we take another place on the ground, which is the time in the future when we say this is when we have achieved the goal that we're looking for. And we plan out the actions that we need to take to get from today to the point in time where we have achieved the goal. And that we can do starting from today, what would be the first step forward? We can do it from the goal, turning around, looking back. What are the steps that we have actually taken to get there? And we can both take this from like an analytical, conscious perspective. What do we think is the first step? What do we think that we have done? Or we can do it from a somatic perspective, from a gut feeling perspective, and actually do the first step by really stepping from today onto the first action that we have taken and try to feel what is it actually that I have done in order to get into motion. It's noted down here as step 5 in the list, but obstacles actually can pop up anytime. An obstacle is something that feels like it would like to impede us on getting to the goal that we have achieved. And obstacles can pop up in any channel that you can think of. It can pop up as a visual impediment. It can pop up as a somatic impediment. You can hear voices that tell you you're never going to make it. And typically these obstacles are realizations of some dissonances within the system. So one part of you really wants to get to that goal, and another part just says, there is something that doesn't match. And that dissonance manifests in form of an obstacle. And in step 5 of the process, it's all about realizing and taking these obstacles and holding it in a coach state way so that we can transform the dissonance into a resonance. Like sending away one part of the dissonance typically doesn't help, because then it'll just jump at you from behind at points in time where you're not strong enough to keep them at bay. So the key idea is to actually find out what they stand for, what dissonance they represent, so that you can rearrange the whole system in such a way that everything fits together nicely, and then the obstacle has been transformed into a resource. Step 6 in the process then correlates to the fact that every new neural connection that has been created in the brain by creating a path from today to your goal is a new and fresh thing. And if you want to get it stronger, you need to rethink the path, refeel the path as often as, or in a frequency that actually makes that part of the brain grow. And that is when the question is, what practices could we do to deepen these changes? That's the 6 steps of the generative coaching model: the coach state, the intentions in the 3 channels, the generative state by the 3 connections to the self, to the intention, and to the resource field, the take action plan from today to the point in time where the goal has been achieved, the transformation of obstacles that occur into resources, and then the regular practices that are best done every day in order to fry it into the brain so that we can actually walk that path. Excellent. Then I would like to move through the introductions, but maybe there are questions that you would like to pose right now. Is there anything that you want to pop out immediately then? Take it as a no. Excellent.
I do.
Sandra, go ahead.
Thank you, Till. Could you, thanks for the invitation, first of all. Could you please define once more briefly for me what the coach, I mean, I remember the center, but what does the rest stand for? The OACH?
The C stands for center.
Mm-hmm.
The O for open.
Mm-hmm.
The A stands for aware.
Yeah.
The second C for connected. And the last H for holding. Whereas I also like humble, hospitable. So the H is really, really a key thing for me.
Thank you, Till.
Sure enough. Then I think we should have most people on board by now. I've just seen Elena joined us. Welcome as well. I would like to do one quick round robin of introductions so that everybody knows who everybody is. We only have 2 hours, so keep it short. I'd say, who are you? I would invite you to say, what's your name? Where are you currently? And maybe as invitations, as questions, what did you bring today? And what do you hope to take away with you when we close our workshop today? And maybe you can remember these questions, or maybe I put them also in the chat. Maybe you can remember them. Who are you? Where you're at? What do you bring? And what do you want to take away? And then I stop sharing so that we can actually see who's speaking. So my name is Till. I live in Germany, so I'm hosting this today from Germany. What do I bring to this workshop? I bring, well, this key model that I want to share with you about how our relationship to events is created, and our Olympics today, well, our lightweight games, how we can make use of this model to actually take hits and turn them into gifts. What do I hope to take away? Smiling faces. I think I'd like to take away smiles from you all. I'm very happy to host today. So maybe I can ask us to go around. Maybe Vic, you're on the top left of my screen if you want to start.
Okay, so my name's Vic and I'm in the UK. Today I bring with me curiosity and cheerfulness, I think. I'd like to come away with a different form of resilience based on the title of the talk and what I know of Till.
Very much. Thank you very much. Then Achim.
Hi, I'm Achim. I'm from Germany, but living in Edinburgh in Scotland. What do I bring with me? I'm fresh out of the Virginia Satir training with Eva Wiebrecht, so there is lots going on inside of me, lots of turmoil, and yeah, I'm curious about how all of that will settle, and it feels a bit like a transformation, and yeah, I wanna see what the gifts are that I can take away from that.
Thank you very much. Graciela.
Hello, I am Graciela. I am in Buenos Aires, Argentina. What I bring is I'm an NLP trainer, an ontological coach, and I bring passion about coaching and smiles. And I will like to take knowledge and experiences to to give them my intention.
Thank you very much, Marcela. Fiona?
I'm in the UK. I bring curiosity. I bring my artistic brain, I think, part of who I am. And what I'd like to take away is more connections, and actually to continue to fulfill my intention, which is interconnected connections that flourish. So it feels very appropriate for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Barbara?
Hello, this is Barbara. I live in Lugano in Switzerland, and I come here with interest in this generative coaching process, with interest and enthusiasm for me and for my clients. And I'm hoping to take away some larger awareness, maybe some practice today, maybe some more connection to this process and with this group and the coach.
Thank you very much. Sandra?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sandra. I'm German and I'm calling in from Berlin. What do I bring in today? I've had a long day, but I'm really in a very good mood, and I feel it's wonderful to reconnect with the generative crowd. So what do I bring in? I also did the practice together with Till here, and Nigel is on my bottom left of the screen. So I feel it's wonderful. That's what I bring in. And what I would like to take out is I have been working a little bit on a program on positive psychology, also together with some of you during those last weeks. And I'm really curious to see how everything may be combinable. And I'm quite sure it will. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra. Corinna?
Hello, I'm Corina. I'm also from Germany, from Mainz. I bring in a lot of curiosity and also deep resonance to your title, Take the Hit as a Gift. Because in our company we have I think it's necessary, and I hope to bring along somehow how we get a better understanding. And yes, because we have some problems with our what do you call it, with our boss, and I'm kind of in a union, so yeah.
Well, thank you, Corinna.
Thank
So
you.
probably that we're very close to each other, both in the same city even. That's.
Oh really? Where are you?
Well, in Mainz-Bretzenheim.
Oh, I'm in Lionhof. Oh, that's really close. How funny.
Isn't it? You connect with people from Buenos Aires to Germany, that's like another continent, and then other people are just like 2 kilometers, about a mile away.
Right, that's funny. I didn't know that.
Thank you, Corinna.
Thank you, Till.
Debbie.
Yeah, hi, my name is Debbie. I'm now living just outside of Swansea, which is to the west of England, on that big fat bit that comes out. But just over a year ago, I've been living in Kenya for 22 years, and I moved and bought this house so that I'd be halfway between my best friend and her daughter, so I was in the middle. Unfortunately, we buried her yesterday, so my hit as a gift is how to deal with that, because she was going to be my social life.
I'm sorry to hear that. No.
We knew it was coming because she was diagnosed with cancer, so yeah, we've had time to prepare, but still difficult, but thank you.
Yeah, if it was indeed yesterday that you buried her, it's certainly a difficult thing. So if we can support you, and especially I think a lot of holdings of space together today will dedicate a good deal of that for the support of that, if that's okay with everybody. as I will say later on, again, it's especially grief where taking the hit as a gift in the moment of grief does sound cynic, and we need to make sure that we don't do that, because especially in periods of griefs, it's my belief that just takes time and it takes acknowledgement. And if we were to ignore that fact, I think it would reduce the dignity of that, what these relationships mean to us. So Debbie, maybe during the games that we are playing today, that grief is not, that situation might not the best item for all of the games that we play. Just be careful and be loving to yourself and take our support for that, so that we can hold that. Would that be okay? Yeah. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for sharing. Nigel.
Hello, everyone. Debbie, you have my complete support. And well, today, actually, it's funny. I live almost exactly the opposite side of the country to Debbie. Pretty much draw a line straight across, and I live on the right-hand side of the country, on the extreme east of the country. So, and what do I bring today? I bring curiosity, I bring warmth, and I bring gratitude. And I'm really looking forward to taking a few hits. And I'm really looking forward to turning that into positivity. For 40 years, I've been a teacher, and I also have my own coaching work now. But it feels each day that I've taken the hits as a teacher. And now it's high time, after 40 years, I learned to be positive with that. So I'm looking forward to this time together.
Thank you, Nigel. No pressure. Only 40 years that we're actually working up upon, and I'll take this hit as a gift. 40 years of experiences already to handle hits and still have that lovely smile. I think there's a lot of potential that we hold within our group to work upon that. So my thoughts about today is I mainly work in business environments, so I come into this generative world from a fairly, say, analytical and sometimes rational seeming perspective. That is one of the key perspectives that I simply bring. That doesn't mean that I don't absolutely welcome the warmth that we all share with each other, but the models that I come with, they have that, we come from the neurological perspective, so that you actually can transport that into kind of every realm of business. At least I think that this is possible. So I would like to take you through some of these thoughts for a few moments and then invite you to play with it. And as soon as we play, own it up. Yeah. So I come with certain ideas, but I would absolutely love to hear any associations and thoughts and ideas, artistic brains we have connected to that already. So that we really can play with that, what I want to share. That will be the perspective that I would like to enter into that. So let me share my screen again. Thank you, everybody, for introductions. So our topic today is take the hit as a gift, how to own your challenges and turn them into inspiration. And as said, the state relationship event experience system will be the model that I want to share first, and then enter into the own your challenges games. Yeah, probably we will today not be able to play all the games that I've prepared, but we have another session on Saturday, and many people joined and signed up for both days. Let's play with that as well and take it as a gift that we have more ideas than we probably can play upon, and just see how it plays out. Before I go into the model that I want to present itself, I would invite you to take a moment, as is also usual for generative practice, and set an intention for you. I already asked you what you're bringing. I asked you what you want to take away. Maybe now get into the space between what you bring and what you take away, and set one intention that you want to hold on to for today. We don't need to share those, just take it for yourself, take a moment, maybe 1-2 deep breaths, and turn your attention on your intention for our time together. Maybe you click on the thumbs up sign if you're ready. If you don't know whether it is, there's in reactions on the lower right part. Excellent. Okay, as I already mentioned with respect for Debbie, let's exercise today in the zone. I know that generative work can work on trauma, but if you have strong traumatic experiences, maybe for the lightweight games that I'm suggesting today, they are not always the best examples. Use with caution and just take good care of yourself. So, the key question that we have is an event that we experience a hit or a gift? And the key observation that I want to share is that it all depends on the relationship that you can take towards the event. On the other hand, if we look at the premises again that we started this session with, what is it actually that we react to? We have sensory input, I call it, anything that comes from the outside, anything that you see or hear or touch or observe. And the reality that you create in your mind is something that takes these inputs and applies filters to them. If we were to not distinguish between all the sensory inputs that we get, this would be a very unorganized place, the reality construct that is being created within ourselves. Also, our brains, we are unable to hold incomplete models of reality. Imagine you sleep in the jungle and you wake up 3 o'clock in the morning because a twig has just snapped. It's not like your filters let through this snapping of the twig and you say, oh, I heard a twig snap. But rather what happens is that your imagination kicks in immediately and you can almost see and hear and smell the saber-toothed tiger that you imagine that probably has caused this snapping of the twig. Maybe when I just said that, it was another reality that happened within your brain, but certainly, well, I bet upon nobody can just stay with this is a snapping twig. And it's also evolutionary, totally sound that we do not imagine nice things. Because if you go back to the situation of you sleeping in the jungle and a twig snapping, the person that can imagine a dangerous beast that created this auditory input actually has a selective advantage over the person that said, probably nothing, just the wind or something else. Because even if in many situations there is no danger involved, in those few situations where danger pops up, the person who is already up with a heart rate, blood pressure is on, muscles are ready, certainly has an easier time, well, maybe not fighting a saber-toothed tiger, but running away. So we are the product of eons of evolution to be those beings that are best at imagining bad things. And typically, if I were to speak of my last vacation, my last trip, my last being at a hospital, doctor, or even only shopping, and yes, for some of us, this is experiences that are fairly long ago, immediately you would think about situations that were similar for you. So you're not thinking about my visit to the doctor. You're thinking about a combination of my visit to the doctor and your last visit of the doctor, maybe with a little sprinkle of saber-toothed tiger, that there can be really bad visits to the doctor mixed in. So reality is a construct that is being fed by the sensory input that we get, which is being filtered and augmented by memories and imagination to create something that we perceive typically as reality. To be complete, I just rearranged this picture a little bit. Because what I now want to do is put these two things together, which says I have a reality construct, which is fed by events, memories, imagination. And to be honest and complete, all of these are filtered because you have many memories. So those memories that you actually take are a selection of memories, just as you're able to imagine a whole lot of things. And those that you select or filter, well, this filter idea applies. So you don't really react to an event, you react to the reality construct that you have built of the event, added memories, and added imaginations. And the experience that I, in the end, have depends on the relationship I built to this reality construct, to this map that I have created. Okay, so far so good. And yes, I have put this brain picture behind this side again, because actually this here is the outside world, and this is all on the inside and in the inside world. Let me augment that with point one that with point one of the generative coaching model, where in essence we say something like people come in two states. In the coaching world, we call them crash and coach. In the business world, I rearranged these letters a little bit, and I also speak about crash and charm state. Yes, within coaching, it's easy to talk about a coach state. Within any other environment, asking people that probably it's better if they remain charming also has this nice wording touch to it. And then again, you can arrange the letters. We get an additional M for mindful, so we are still centered and connected, holding, aware, relaxed, and mindful when we're in charm state. And then the crash state is the closed, reactive, analysis, paralyzed, separated, and hurting state. Oscillation can go quickly, fairly fast, pretty quick. And when we are in crash, we typically think in terms like details and problem and guilt, and we are rather in judging and in a rejective mode, whereas in a charm state or a coach state, we have access to our creativity, to our intelligence, to openness, to solution orientation. The part of our brain that actually holds the intelligence is the same part where play is being created. So imagine the little bunny that plays around and all of a sudden the hawk starts to circle above. If this is perceived as a threat, as it should be, play is suppressed. And when play is suppressed, intelligence is suppressed as well. So in this model, you can understand where the blackout that people can experience in test situation comes from. If the person that puts you under pressure in a test is perceived as somebody harmful, as an enemy, as a threat, immediately intelligence is being switched off. Whereas if you perceive a test as a game, where play is what you need to be good at, then intelligence is actually augmented. So if we take this model of the state that we're in, then, and I put this here in the two colors to be mnemonic, that in essence it's crash and coach state that we can be in, that influences the filters that we apply. If we are in a crash state, we'll more easily imagine threatening situations, and we more easily filter out memories that we don't like, and also the filters that we apply to the sensory input that we get is different than when we are in a coach state. And also the relationship that we take to the reality construct that we have created is completely different while we're holding it in a crash state, in a mindful, in a crash state, or in a coach state, mindful or rather mindless being other words that we had on the first transparency. And again, of course, this creates a cyclic dependency, because the experience that we're having, of course, influences the state that we're in. And one last item, and then the model would be complete, that I want to work upon today, is this system changes with time. So in the upper right corner, I just added the time, and then this would be my construct of our construction reality that I would like to invite you to work with today. Is that understandable? It's a little bit complex, but I hope by building it up like it is, this is kind of the reality of today. And the question remains, how do we discern between an event becoming a hit or a gift? And my key hypothesis is that the experience of hit or gift can be influenced by any item that we actually have on the screen, probably apart from the facts themselves. So if you're being sacked, or if you drive your car against a tree, your car probably still won't start again if you hit the tree heavily enough. But if you perceive this as a hit or gift, well, it depends a lot on how you actually filter the event. What reality construct actually happens, what you put your attention focus upon, and then what relationship you actually take towards the event that happens. For example, let's stay with this example of you crash your car against a tree. If you focus on the broken car, then your reality construct probably concerns you a lot with the loss of money that you have just experienced. You potentially augment that with other situations in your past where money was an issue. And you add to that the imagination of how bad it would be if you couldn't afford the bills. So your reality construct is not only a broken car, but a future in which you lack money and hence food. The relationship to that creates this being a hit. If you drive your car against the tree and you realize that you are completely healthy after that accident, and you focus on your physical state, which is just excellent because you had like a great airbag system in that car, and also the tree is unharmed if you like trees, but only the car is broken, and you augment that with memories where you also were very, very lucky that you didn't get any strong injuries, and you augment that again with the bad things that you just avoided, I'd say the relationship that you take towards the reality construct that you have then probably will allow you to perceive this a lot more as a gift than as a hit. Because in the end, it was only the car. And maybe now it's time for a new car anyway, because you had been walking around this new model, and now it's kind of the hint that the universe gave you to get there. Okay, so maybe I just pause here at a moment and open again the floor if there are any questions about that model. I'd be happy to hear them. And if not, I just take it as your reply that I have prepared this in an understandable fashion, and that's okay with me as well. Excellent. So that will be the key model that I invite us to be working with today. And then, well, if you look at the model, then playing this model we can do at many, many places. So first I would offer you to play the coach state game, which actually means in all this business, we play on the state. Then we take the imagination part that goes into our reality construct and play with that. Then we focus on the time. Then we focus on the filters. Then we focus on the relationship itself. And last but not least, we can look at the dissonances that we actually find in the whole construct, which in my terminology is actually what pops up in form of obstacles. So let's go to number one, which would be the coach state game. And the key idea, maybe before I offer the game that I've prepared itself, we have many, many different ways how we go into coach state. And I'm sure each and every one of you has his or her own experiences, how best to go into coach state. I hope that you all have a regular practice, that you practice every day in order to strengthen your coach state. And we use centering, people use breath, we use imagination techniques in order to get a coach state and go to a place that we like in our thoughts. Today, I invite you to go the other way around. I would actually like to ask you to model yourself in crash state. Why so? The objective is that you understand how you are and how you feel when in crash state, so that whenever crash state comes, you find it out before anybody else. Because as they asked the founder of Aikido, Master, they said to him, how can it be that you're always stable and we never ever get you out of balance? His answer was, well, I'm losing my balance all of the time. I'm just the first to regain it. In order to regain balance, it's very, very helpful to understand that you actually lost it. So that's what I want to do today. We are going to create breakout sessions, at least 2 people. And how would I say? Let's go one way. So one person of you would be volunteered or volunteer to model their crash state. In order to take that, just take a trigger, take something that crashes you. And now we're again in this realm of crash moderately. Okay, take something that you can control. It can be an extensive crash, like teenage kids typically don't crash us moderately, but we know how to handle it to a certain extent. That could be something, or anything that actually annoys you or whatever. And then try to find out, what is the somatic representation that you have when you crash? What is your sensory focus? That means what do you perceive? For example, it's dangerous to come up with examples here, because then I might prime you in order to feel what I figured out. I say, we'll be starting breakout sessions in a moment. And if you are stuck, there is this function of asking for help. I'm happy to join the room that you're in. But find out if your focus goes to seeing or to hearing or to tasting, smelling, to touch. Does your sensory focus give you other inputs? If you have an NLP background, then look at submodalities of what you see. Is there color? Is it black and white? Do you get depth in 3D, 2D visions, things like that? And then own it up. Any other characteristics? Characteristics of the me that you are in the moment of crash. Would you like to do that? Is that okay? I see that we are 10. So I will create 4 rooms, and then we have 4 people, and there will be 1 room of 3, and you just, you know, make something nice. Okay?
Till, can I suggest I'm happy being an observer on this one.
You're happy in the room of 3? Okay, I'll then I'll be happy to move you around to have you in that room of 3. And give me some idea, how long would you like to work upon that? 5 minutes too little? 10? Something in between would be my thoughts. 10 minutes? Then I will create 4 rooms. And Debbie, the system listened to you. You are in room number 1 with 2 more people. And I'll create 10 minutes. Okay, all clear? Then I click on start. And when we come back, we'll do a debrief. So if you kind of take your time to actually work on it and maybe use the last 1 or 2 minutes, certainly to exchange what you have observed, that we can then debrief in our joint session, that would be cool. Welcome back. Let's have a quick debrief and share experiences.
I could start out quickly if you don't mind. We all agreed, I was together with Debbie and Vic, and we agreed that it was very interesting to start out with the crash state instead of the coach state, because I had expected the coach state for us all to start here tonight. So thank you for that switch. I was the one getting into crash state, and I made something up when I'm very much in my head speaking with myself. So I'm hearing my voices with my different types of saboteurs or just one. So I'm hearing my voices speaking within my head, and what really helped me out with a somatic module and a somatic concentration and a somatic touch that made me concentrate on my flesh. So this is what I could start out with.
Thank you. More sharings?
I'd like to share that in my partner describing the situation, I was able to be in there with it, actually. And that, I think, is to do with my experience and my memory, and maybe my imagination too. But there was a lovely shift from the crash to the coach state in my partner's journey. And that was very interesting too.
Thanks.
Based on his practice. And that was lovely to sort of have witness, yeah.
To kind of observe both and see the shift between.
What was interesting, Till, is that I was the partner, and in that time, what started out to be just a pure crash turned out not to be that at all. But the moment we discussed, when did the moment of crash stop being the moment of crash and became the transformation into coach? Because the energy that I was expelling and the somatic representation of crash, there was a definite place at a point, but I was describing what happened with the book, and as the energy or the event hit the power cut that stopped the screen while I was recording a video of me reading the penultimate page, I sort of felt that the whole event of me throwing the book on the floor was the crash state, but it wasn't. At the point where I'd raised the book, something else happened. There was a shift where I actually had gone, I didn't do this, but I felt it. That's interesting. Do I really need to throw this book down? No, but I'm going to anyway because it'll make me feel better. And more than that, because of my sports days, really, how loud can I make the book land? And can I make it land perfectly flat?
I love it.
And so it actually, by the time the book had hit the floor, the crash had completely gone, and I'd already begun to think about what I would need to do next to prepare myself to redo the whole video. So that's interesting.
I love it. And let me share the observation that comes with that. That is, if you label a crashed state as a crashed state, you already start changing it. And that even begins with observing it. So I'd say crash state is nothing bad. Yeah? Crash state is a completely natural thing. If you ever have to fight that saber-toothed tiger, crash state could be so helpful because it can release strength, energy, and really get you into that fight and flight mode. Crash is only detrimental if you don't get out of it in complex situations. So crash isn't bad. It's being stuck in crash in a circumstance where you can be more constructive is in coach state, where it actually becomes a problem. So yeah, anybody else who wants to share an experience? Achim, yeah?
Yeah, I also learned something new about my crash state, something that I hadn't noticed before, and it was really nice to see how immediately my curiosity took over, and noticing, oh, okay, this is how this works. I can actually, so it was an image out of Indiana Jones movie, and it turned into, that can be an adventure. And yeah, I hope I will, when I crash next time, be connected to that again and take it from there.
Da-da-dum-da,
Yeah,
da-da,
exactly.
da-da-dum-da. I mean,
Putting on a hat.
Yeah, could you imagine how boring an Indiana Jones movie would be if there were no hits to what he wants to achieve? I mean, it's like you take the idol and the sack of sand, take the idol, put the sack of sand, all fine, walk out.
Yep.
We all live to be able to tell stories in the old people home. So you need to collect them while you're on the path. No. Maybe one more, anybody? We don't have to, but if there's still something that pops up, I'd be happy to hear it.
Well, actually, I thought it was kind of hard because when I'm in crash state, I am in it. So kind of to reconsider how it really feels was quite interesting. Because if you're in it, but you don't have the distance like we have it now with the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite interesting.
And would you say that now something is different?
Yeah, because it didn't get to me like it would be if I'm in natural crash state. But also, I couldn't remember all the details. I actually feel when I'm in crash state.
Mm-hmm.
Probably I just remembered the main topics.
Mm-hmm.
that was quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So there is one thing that I actually don't want to do today, but maybe as a thought, which is it's from Gunther Schmidt, and he calls that problem solution gymnastics, if you've heard about it. So if you find a somatic representation of your crash state, it's not the words that he's using, he would call it a problem state. But in the terminology of generative change, it would be if you take a crash state, that is a somatic representation, and you take a coach state, and you just go through the exercise of imagining the trigger, go into your representation of crash, and immediately go into your representation of coach. And do that 20 times. Imagine the trigger, crash, coach. Imagine, crash, coach. And do it for a few days, 20 in the morning, 20 at lunch, and 20 in the evening. You automate the process from trigger via the crash to the coach state. So next time the trigger comes, you will experience crash state, but if you have put it into your brain deeply enough by enough repetitions, footnote, step 6, deepening the practice, step 6 of the process model, then the automaton kicks in and you end up in coach state triggered by the negative trigger. That's a take-home thing, yeah? You try it out, experiment with it, and drop me a note if you have any observations, how it worked out for you. Then let me share my screen. So that was game number 1, the coach state game. And I would like now to invite you for game number 2, which I call the imagination game. And just to remind you real quick, we're working in the model where the reality that you construct consists of the actual event, the memories and the imaginations, all mixed together in one construct with the respective filters. And it's the relationship that you take towards this constructed reality that leads to the experience that you have. And it's the state that you're in that dominates the filters and the relationship, and hence the construct and the experience that you're having. So now let's focus on the imagination piece. So the objective of this game is to actually find out what part of your construct is observed and what part is actually imagined. Let me go back one slide. So in this construct, what is actually fact? And what is it? What's the twig that snapped? And what is the saber-toothed tiger that you added upon it? How do we do that? You take a situation that you want to work upon. Again, I would suggest you take a moderate one and not one that immediately crashes you for the rest of the week. And then start with your imagination and change the situation in the wildest possible manner so that it actually still fits the facts. Repeat with a second imagination. Example, you have received an email from your boss or from a customer, a client, that went like, meet me tomorrow, 11 o'clock. And it got you into kind of this frenzy situation of, oh, damn it. I don't know what's going to happen then. Because, and I'm just making this situation up in this case, you get an email, and I'm sure you all have received emails in the past that kind of set you off with fear and anxiety or anger or whatever. And the technique here would be to actually imagine something that still fits every word in this email, but changes the whole situation. For example, meet me tomorrow at 11 o'clock because we need to prepare the surprise party for your spouse. Meet me tomorrow at 11 o'clock because we really need to know how to infiltrate our government. Meet me tomorrow at 11 o'clock because I have such a cool idea what patent we could actually create together. You get the idea. Yeah. This is really not about realistic scenarios. You can be as unrealistic as you want to be, because and as different in the scenarios that you create, because that's what overlaps between all the constructs that you create is actually the facts that you have. Okay, you take two reality constructs that share the same facts, and you try to put the imaginary part that you put it in, into it as apart from each other as possible. And then that what is in the intersection, that what remains. That's the facts. Okay, that will be the game that I'd like you to play with that. And as said before, the games that we play today, the Own Your Challenges games, some of them work better with one type of scenario, and others work better with other types of scenarios, which makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I mean, we have this complex system of input sources, of filters, of a reality construct, of state that you are in, of a relationship and the experiences that you have, and all that changes over time. So depending on what kind of a situation you work upon, entering into that whole construct at different levels or at different entry points, depending on the situations, is only clever. So play with that as well. Find a situation that actually does have an imaginary part. If you take a situation where there is no imaginary part in it, that mainly consists of what your state does to your filter to actually perceive the event, you will have a smaller effect in comparison to a situation where you actually put in a lot of imagination. So find a scenario and take a scenario where uncertainty was something that dominates the situation. Does it make sense? If there's uncertainty in it, you probably will have filled it with some sort of imagination. I would again invite us to breakout sessions at this point in time. Maybe we take a little bit bigger groups. Let me unshare my screen. The situation is okay. I can share my screen so that I can actually see all of you. Is it clear what I invite you to? I see a few nods and a few maybes. Play with it. If you have, yeah, let's see. We're 9 people. Shall we do 3 groups of 3? Yeah, and then just experiment with it. And if you have any questions, just 3 rooms. I do random assignment again. If you have any questions, just there is a button in the breakout sessions where you can actually ask me to come in, and then I'm happy to help. 10 minutes. Then it's 10 minutes, and enjoy. Good luck. I said that some of the things that I want to take away today are some smiling faces. What have you experienced? Who would like to share something?
I've experienced a lot of playfulness. Which allowed space to explore, and also allowed creativity.
Did you have a situation, did it change your experience with respect to a situation, to an event?
Something that did happen towards the end of our conversation. I described the brown envelope from the tax man.
Okay, that can be a hit.
I saw that crash, Till. in that moment.
Yeah. Aren't we all? Yeah. Modeling crash makes you such a detection expert on crash.
And it was Fiona who identified that it's the brown envelope alone that creates the crash. And yeah, but then when we begin to think about what that might be, of course, it's obviously going to be a tax demand to pay at least another £1,000 or €1,000 of extra tax that is being demanded. Or on the other hand, it could be €1,000 or £1,000 rebate. Two extremes that it could be. Or it could just be a letter, as in my case, telling me what my new tax code for the year would be.
I can see the saber-toothed tiger in that envelope.
And do you know what I did first of all? Placed it on the desk and left it alone.
Steep template for our next game that I want to play.
Oh.
That's excellent, excellent. Next one is about time. I think we have time for one more. Actually, many people signed up for today and Saturday. Originally, I had planned to kind of do the same thing, but now I came up with a plan to actually have 6 games and play 3 today and play 3 other ones on Saturday. I still, for those people who come on Saturday, I promised, to do the same entry spiel, but listening to the generative coaching procedure and premises once again, and looking at this a little bit complicated model once again, I hope everybody who pops up on Saturday as well will be able to sit through without perceiving it too strongly as a hit. You can work on your coach state to take it as a gift and own that challenge. Corinna, I see you've unmuted yourself. I'd be happy to.
Right. I had, it was funny because we have a meeting with our boss next Monday, and he also told us, okay, I just have 1 hour to leave. And I got a great support from Sandra and Achim, and it was really, we had the imagination. Well, at first, I had the crash state. Okay, we don't get our point 3. He will put us down, and then it was why does he wants to leave on at 12 o'clock? And it was like, well, maybe he has a date, or maybe he has to use the bathroom. And all of a sudden, and Sandra modeled it in such a beautiful way with the with the movements. It was really funny, and all of a sudden it changed. I wasn't in the crash state anymore. It was like, okay, I was there in the coach state.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. One of my thoughts I just had was, I have to leave because I have this class that I'm taking, how to better treat my employees.
That's great. He would need that. Thanks.
Want to share one more or on to the next game? What is it? I take non-unmuting as an indication. Bring on the next game. Let me share my screen. So done that. So now, in our system of a reality construct and everything, I want to take the time approach. I think we could talk all evening and probably a whole week about timing. I come from a martial arts background where, especially in the perspective of timing, it's very important when to act. There is kind of a too early, when you move at a point in time where somebody can still correct their attacks, and there is a too late, then they hit you, and then there is kind of the right time in between. Whatever, we could talk about time very long, but we have a new participant. At least it did a quick ding dong. Tio.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome on board.
Thank you. Sorry I missed the earlier part.
Oh, no worries. We're well underway. So it's probably, let me see how to best onboard you. If you take a look at the screen, you can see that we are working on this model on the right side, where it's all about the experience on the very right, where we want to discern between something that actually is a hit and something that is a gift. And in our brain, we have this map of reality. We usually react to maps and not to the reality itself. And the question is whether we take something as a hit or a gift is typically decided upon the relationship that we take to this reality construct. And the construct itself is added by actually what we observe, filtered, the memories that we add, and the imagination that we add. That was kind of the quickie of the last 90 minutes. Maybe it's a little bit incomplete.
Perfect sense. Thank you.
And what we do is we take each piece of this model and try to influence it and play with it a little bit so that the experience that we're having actually feels more like a gift than a hit. We started with a state, and it's fairly obvious that if you're in a coach state, your relationship gets better, and the filters that you apply get more constructive. So state is the first impact that we had. And then what we just finished was playing with imagination. And now I want to work on the timepiece, and the invitation would be, we take a situation, we take a hit, and then we mentally travel to the future. And the future should be so far in the future that depending on the event, it's kind of far away. Which means it could be that you need to go into the future a whole year or 10 years, or, well, the typical extreme would be you go to the end of your life, or even beyond, you go to your own funeral and you write your own funeral speech. And in that funeral speech, let's not be going too deeply into that, but say a year from now, you ask yourself, what reaction to this specific event that you would categorize as a hit have you displayed from a perspective of 2 weeks into the future? For example, my daughter says something that I definitely don't want to hear. So I travel 2 weeks into the future and ask myself, what reaction would I have wanted to have displayed towards her behavior so that it's most in concordance how I want to perceive myself? Yeah. You lose an election that you have gone for. What press statement would you want to watch on TV when you go into the archive of last year? You know, like you travel 1 year to the future, you turn around, you look back, and from that distant future perspective, you ask yourself, what is it as a reaction to that event that I would actually like to have observed? And again, I would like to do that in breakout sessions. Let's take our standard time of 10 minutes to work upon that, and have one person pick a situation that they found challenging, and then work upon this from the future perspective on it. And from the rest of the team, one person takes the role of kind of the lead coach to organize the support that this person is getting, but everybody is invited to support. As in, ask your coachee if they want to get, you know, like simultaneous input from many people, or if they'd rather have one person that coordinates that so that they feel safe to experiment with that. And again, I would invite you to take an event that you can cope with in a playful manner. I believe that these techniques all have their merit also on very deep and problematic items. But for sake of, we only want to spend 10 minutes on it in order to get an idea of the technique, take something that is lightweight enough that when you come back, you can report on playfulness and joy. Make sense? Okay. Then 9, shall we do 3 rooms again? And I'll recreate them. So let me check. It's 10 minutes plus the 1 minute extra that you have. Questions? Good to go? Excellent. Enjoy. Welcome back. So this one was the future game, taking a situation that you found and perceive difficult, especially difficult to react to, and then go to a distant enough future so that you can look around, turn back, and ask yourself, how would you actually have wanted to react? As is now common practice, I'd love to hear some experiences, some sharings.
Can I?
You can, but let me just say, yeah, go ahead, Sandra. And then right after you, I'll invite people that maybe we haven't heard so much from right after. No. So that's all fine. I just want to make sure that everybody really gets to share something. And but start ahead. I can see that you want to share something that created a smile, and that's what I'm collecting today. So go ahead.
Thank you, Till. I had the most wonderful experience with Corinna, Fiona, and Debbie. Thank you very much, all of you, because I had a little bit of a hit situation for quite a while, because I was for quite a while on the spot of creating my new website, because I did something a little bit else in the public sector before, and now I really want to focus on the face-to-face work on a private basis with people. And I was in this crash hit state, and I just got out of it last night and opened up and started my site. And I was a little bit afraid that I would not display the discipline of going further or getting back into that crash state. And Corinna and Fiona and Debbie really gave me so much, because we went 2 weeks in the future, and I looked back of the results that I would, and what I would like to feel then. And it was also a beautiful question to continue forwards another 10 years time. And that was a bit hard for me to imagine, because I even imagined myself elsewhere, but I could see myself then. And that was so beautiful. And you invited me to anchor all of that. And I feel very grateful now, actually, and very happy and very still and a little bit excited, I must say. So thank you very much for this experience. It's been beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
So nice, Sandra. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for your support team. Yeah, the smiles I was looking for. Here they come. Maybe we had 3 groups. Would it be okay to get like one sharing from each group? I understand that you had Corinna, Fiona, and Debbie in your group.
I can speak.
Yeah, Graciela, go ahead.
Yes, I was observer in this group. In some way, Nigel had the proposal of working with Sansian, and he first began doing the exercise in some way, going through the steps, and Achim in some part invited him to put in somatic model only. So it was brilliant, because he created a movement, like very slow movement, that make us new. I think Miguel can correct me, that he knew the path to his successful future. So it was brilliant to let the words out and only think of the movement, and he created something very good.
Thank you very much. So Nigel was in your group, and Vicky and Achim. Then Vic, you unmuted yourself as well. It seems you represent the third group, so I'd be happy to get a sharing from you as well.
So in a way, and it was Tivo's problem. In a way, our situation, I think, was quite similar to Sandra's about wanting to be able to write, and it was just lovely to be part of that experience of working through and seeing the situation now, and then even just the act of looking forward and imagining a positive future and how that changes the reality where you are now. Just being able to imagine that actually things can change. The awareness of change creates change in itself, and that's a really powerful thing to be aware of, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much, Rick. And you see, if you listen to the different reports, if you ask people to go to the future, there's just so many ways to do it. And go to the future, look back to how you want to have reacted today, go to the future and see how the future has changed. Thank you so much for really taking the invitation to owning also these games and take out of them that what generates for you something that you can actually make change happen and perceive it in a different way.
Can I share something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it was so easy, so effective. And I wanted to share that there were two fundamental insights. One was, so the writing piece was crash. So I experienced a coach state of writing, and I felt very accompanied and with community of fellow writers, both exemplars, historical, future. And then simultaneously, I was being accompanied by the facilitators. So I had two levels of insight of the facilitated process where that came forward and the accompanied process with the facilitators. I had a fuller appreciation of how easy and accessible the field is through this experience. So feeling really grateful.
Thank you very much. I love that double experience, that double perspective. It feels like you kind of created a very complex resource field together with the people you worked.
It's like that double mint gum, double the flavor.
That's how these things work. They don't work in linear ways. They work in exponential ways. They really do. Complex systems, great thing to look at. Our time is already up, so let me, at least the kind of formal time, let me summarize. Created that wonderful slide that reads summary. So what have we done today? We have worked upon this model where we take reality being a construct constructed from the actual event, memories that we add and imaginary parts that we add, all of them filtered, and it's the relationship that we take to the reality that forms the experience. The state that I'm in strongly influences all of the filters and the relationship, and hence we have these cyclic systems that can get a strong dynamic how my experience with respect to a given event can change. We have played the first of the 3 Own Your Challenge games by looking at state, by looking at imagination, and by looking at time in order to see how we can actually take a hit and turn it into a gift. And on Saturday, if things work out as planned, there is still the filter piece and the relationship piece, and then the let's look at dissonances in the whole thing piece that we haven't had time to look upon today, but which would be up next. And as I said before, there is no one single best entry point into this system. It strongly depends on what the system actually looks like. An easy entry point, of course, is typically state. That's why the generative coaching process also starts with a coach state. And if we had more time, I'd give you an invitation into what I call the enter the gap model, where actually typically people feel like between problem and solution, it's only crash that you can get. And it's this invitation to really enter a gap between a question and an answer, between a problem and the solution, so that in this space, problem solutioning can occur. And the model that we have been looking upon today is actually a model that takes place within the space, the gap between you asking yourself, is this event good or bad, and the decision whether it's actually a hit or a gift. And the key element in here is that you change your state and your relationship to an event so that it becomes a gift. Yeah, I hope that I can get a little bit deeper into process and mindset of the model, especially the questions that I invite people to ask in order to stabilize this gap. If you want to learn more, I happily invite you to visit my institute's homepage. So it's 8 o'clock, at least here. It's probably different times depending on wherever you are. Let me speak the ritual closing and say thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you so much for entering into this journey of taking this model of how reality is constructed and how our relationship to this constructed reality dominates the question whether an event is a hit or a gift. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on Saturday, if you can make the time to continue our joint journey. And I will now stop the recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday session of Take the Hit as a Gift, how to own your challenges and turn them into inspiration. Let me share my screen. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Excellent. So in order to allow latecomers to join in, we'll do the introductions as the second piece of the day. And I fulfill my promise to give you the quick introduction into generative coaching, the 4 premises and the 6 steps. I'll be especially short with the 4 premises because when we start to work on the hit and the gift piece, the key model that we have already started to use on Thursday and that we will continue to use today actually strongly relies on the premises that will be outlined in a moment. And then after some theory, we continue to play the Own Your Challenges games that we started already on Thursday. And don't worry if this is the first time that you actually join in here, because the introduction and the foundation I just will do a second time. If you hear them first time, enjoy. If you hear them the second time, enjoy as well. And then there's just a list of games where we try to use our playfulness strongly to use the model and play with hits and turn them into gifts during the rest of the session. And typically there's more games than we have time. We have 2 hours that we want to spend together within the workshop program. And then we just leave it on and running for a little more for kind of the pub time that we're missing. If we follow the experience from Thursday, people wanted to go to dinner and we had a short session afterwards. I'm open to either cut it short or do a longer session. Whatever is going to happen afterwards is going to be fine with me. So let me turn the page. The 4 premises that generative coaching and generative change use are the following. Number 1 is we create our reality. Reality is a constructed thing. And its attributes and how we perceive it strongly depends on what filters we are using. So what representational maps of that reality is our current focus. That's why reality can feel so different, because it is created and it strongly depends on the state of mind we're in and how our filters are tuned today. The third premise is the perspective of holons and holarchies. That means we look at things both being something complete in their own sense, like your heart is a complete thing. We kind of know where it begins and where it ends. And if a cell is a heart cell or a brain cell, they are very different. And at the same time, your heart is a piece of your body that cannot really and truly exist without it, even if you can discern its boundaries. Same holds true for people. A person is a complete being, yet it also is part of society, it is part of nature, it is part of the universe. That takes me to the interesting thought that it actually is kind of weird to become one with the universe as an invitation, because believe me, you already are, as in you are complete in yourself, but you're a part of the universe. So becoming one with the universe is something that holarchy and the concept of holons has already done for you. And the fourth premise on this slide here, the fourth premise of generative change, is the perception that our consciousness can be in different states. We can be in a mindless state, or we can be in a mindful state, and that strongly influences the filters that we apply, and hence how our reality is perceived in this very moment. We'll come back to that. So let's go to the 6 steps of the generative coaching and the generative change process. The first step has to do with the coach state. Both for the coach and for the coachee, and for them to together creating a constructive, a positive, a coach state that supports the actual change work that's supposed to happen. The second step is to set intentions. And we typically in generative coaching do that on a verbal, 5 words or less, on a visual, what image goes with that goal, and on a somatic representation level, what gesture, what movement, what model in a somatic fashion would support the intention, the goal that you want to achieve. Having established that, and it can take some time, in my coaching experience, it's typically worth the time spending to get a good grip on the goal and the intention that you want to achieve. The third step then is to develop the generative state, which implies that you have a strong connection to yourself, which would be correlated to the first step, where you work on the coach state that you want to achieve, hold, and reestablish once you lose it. A connection to the intention, to the goal, what we have established in the second step, and then add to these 2 connections the connection to your resources, to your competencies, to the people that support you, to your experiences and memories that have taken you to where you are right now and will help you take the walk into the future. Which takes us to the 4th step of the generative coaching process, which is the take action step, where you typically create a timeline on the floor, where you take one position and anchor the now, right now. That is where you utter the wish, what goal you want to achieve. And you take another anchor, another place on the floor that you correlate with the time when you have actually achieved your attention. And then you start walking that line from today to the moment in time when you have achieved your goal. And you can either do that with the first rational step and ask yourself, what is the next action step that I need to take? Or you can ask your bodily wisdom, so to speak, and just take the first step and feel into your system, well, what have I actually done as a first step towards my goal? Or you can start it from the end, enter the timeline at the end and turn around. And again, you can approach that from an analytical perspective and ask yourself, what are the steps that I have actually done? Or you go into the future and strongly associate with the feeling that you have once you have achieved your goal. And again, tap into the somatic wisdom of the body to get a feeling for what has happened from the today moment towards the moment when you have achieved that from a future perspective. What will typically happen, either during the work on the timeline or either before, is that you will get some obstacles, some information, some piece, some part of yourself, or the coachee in that case, that will speak up, show up, cramp up in whatever channel you get, in an auditory, in a visual, in a somatic channel, and tell you that it's impossible to reach that goal. And what, from a generative change perspective, we hear is that you cannot reach that goal before I have been attended to. So the obstacle is being welcomed, held in the field, in the generative state that we're being in, and then turned into a resource so that the resource feels is augmented and the dissonance can disappear. And once you have worked through the whole step by turning all of the obstacles that you have into resources, you have created a path that is free of obstacles and full of resources. That path, because now we are typically just, well, in the now, that path has been created by wiring in your brain. But this is like a small plant that now needs watering and food and sunlight. So step 6 is to find practices that support these new parts, these newly grown circuitry in the brain, to actually get stronger by using it. So in step 6 of the process, what we do is to find and establish a practice that you can do every day to refire the wires that represent this path from today toward the intended goal. So that will be my 2-slide quick reminder into the theory and concept of generative change. Before we enter into kind of the take the hit as a gift part of the process, are there any questions or comments that already burn so strongly in some of you that we should attend to them now? Okay, I take that as a no. That was already part 1 of the workshop today. So everybody, well done. A check mark on the first agenda item. And we'll continue then with the introductions and a short inspirational piece. And then I would like to show you the model, the one that I already mentioned. It doesn't have a catchy name. I call it the State Relationship Event Experience System. But of course, that's only a working title. And maybe at the event of the session, at the end of the session today, we can come up with a more catchy name. But that will be the theoretical foundation of the work that I would like to offer to you today. And then we play before we summarize and take an outlook into where that fits into my view that I have onto the world. So I've rephrased the questions from Thursday a little bit. So I would like to ask a little bit different questions today. I would like to do a quick round. We are 13 people, so that shouldn't take too long. And the questions I'd like to ask is actually, so who are you? What's your name? And where are you at? So I know that we have people from different places in the world, and I'd like to know where you are at right now. And then maybe give us a short impression on what do you carry with you today, and what do you have to carry away with you once our session today is over. So my name is Till. I am in Germany. I live in Mainz, and that's where I'm broadcasting from today. What do I carry with me today? I have had very full days, so I feel like I'm happy to have a session that is very playful, in order to push away everything else that I need to do and only do one thing. That is what I like a lot. And what do I hope to carry away with you? Smiles. Again, like Thursday, I will collect smiles and carry them with me. So I hope you can remember the questions. I'm happy to help you, and then invite you to do a quick round robin. Maybe Achim, I can ask you to start.
Hey, I'm Achim. I'm in Scotland, but from Germany. I really enjoyed the session on Thursday. So I'm basically here for a play date. It was so playful, and I really enjoyed that. I'm curious, and I'm looking forward to take away more ways to play. Yep.
Thank you, Achim, and thank you very much. Marlies.
Hello, I'm Marlies. I'm from Vienna, and what I carry with you today is to listen, get a little disturbed, and get new pictures. I enjoy to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlies. Barbara.
Hello, this is Barbara. I live in Switzerland. I'm in Lugano. I am Italian. I'm happy to be here with you today for the second gathering together to play with Till. I had a very good time last time. It was very interesting, and I'm very open to follow more and to be part of this group. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Fiona, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Fiona. I'm in the UK. There's a weight on me at the moment. There are things going on in the field that are disturbing me, and I can put them here and be present here too. I really enjoyed Thursday. It was an opportunity to listen to a reconfiguration of this model, and I had a fun time. So yes, I want to embrace some playfulness and take away that sense of camaraderie.
Thank you, Fiona. Caroline, if I may ask you.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Caroline from Germany. I'm very happy to be here today. I have a little trouble with my sister in the neck, and that's still a little bit in the neck. And I would like to take away lightness, inspiration, and of course a smile you've spoken from. Yes, and I'm from Essen in Germany. So for you.
Yeah, Karen, thank you. Welcome.
Thank
Adrian, please.
Hello, I'm Adrien. I'm from Paris in France. What I carry with me is a deep week in terms of emotional work, and I wasn't able to come to this session Thursday because I was so tired. And now I'm happy to be here, and I would like to take away new ways of meeting obstacles in a playful way, and yeah, to be more at ease with obstacles. Thank you.
I like that part. Thank you very much. Lydia, please. Well, you need to unmute. You need to hit the unmute button and
yeah. Hello. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Lydia. I'm from Toronto, Canada. Originally from China, mainland China. For me is I really feel curious what is happening today. I hope to learn how to turn my challenges into inspiration. But I have to say sorry that I have to leave around 12:25. So a little early. I will absorb as much as I can in this workshop. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry. Just tell me real quick. 12:25 Toronto time is what time? Is like what time is it now?
In 1 hour.
1 hour. You have to leave in 1 hour.
Yes.
Okay. We do breakout session work later on. It would be so kind if you could remind me before we go into the session during which you might have to leave.
Okay.
That we create a group where are more than 2 people so that the work can continue when you have to leave. Okay? That would be cool. Just yeah, if I'm in the flow of the workshop and forget looking at the time, it would be great if you help remind us that we can make a smooth transition. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Tamar, please.
I so enjoy listening to everybody. Hi, I'm Tamar. I'm in Israel. I'm in the forest, actually, searching. Where are you at? What do I carry with me? I really, of all the workshops that I saw that were offered, this is the one that I was waiting for most of all. I think that the magic of turning obstacles into resources is the magic. That's the thing of this work, and I really, really want to go deep into that and experience. So this is why I'm here.
Thank you very much. Then Bilonda, please.
Hello, my name is Bilonda. I live in Portugal at the moment, and originally I don't have anything like this. I grew up in Vienna. I have a German mother, a Congolese father, and I'm the first time here because I couldn't come last Thursday, I think. And I'm looking forward to this because I find obstacles are and today I would wish that obstacles become a come here. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Thank you very much. Corinna, please.
Hello, I'm Corinna. I'm also in Germany, and I'm also in Mainz. I really enjoyed the last time. It was great, also the community. And well, what I bring along is excitement, looking forward to new playfulness in obstacles. And that's what I also want to carry back. More different views, how you can cope with obstacles in a playful way.
Thank you very much. We already had enjoyed that actually Corinna and me were less than 2 miles away right now. And,
yeah,
and we
really
don't know,
funny.
we hadn't known each other. We know each other.
No.
Thursday.
Right.
But there's like people from Toronto, which is 5,000 miles away. And then there is somebody who's 2 miles away. That is just the distance distortion that COVID gives you. It's hilarious. I like it. So thank you, Corinna.
Thank you.
And Sandra, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra. I'm calling in from Berlin. It's very nice to meet you all. I've been with this crowd already on Thursday, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Till, and thank you everybody for this wonderful session that we shared on Thursday. I understand Adrian very well because I was so tired today. I was really tempted, and I was a bit tempted whether it's the couch or us, and I'm so happy that I could convince myself to be here. I already feel it's good, and what I would like to bring back after this evening is connectedness. Thank you.
Couch or the coach?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much picking us over the couch. I really. No, I mean,
it was a close pick, Till.
it was. I'm sure it was a close fit. I mean, it's like Saturday evening, and you can spend your time with so many different things and so many couches that you have. And I'm very grateful that you choose to take another 2 hours of Zoom in order to explore the exciting items of how to turn hits into gifts. We have one more participant, Debbie, who, yeah. So,
hi.
Welcome.
Hi. So I'm Debbie. I'm calling from the UK, from York, which is northern England. And I'm here because I know Till. We went through the Generative coaching program together. And hi, Sandra, is that?
So did we. Sorry to interrupt.
We did, didn't we? So yeah, hi. Cool.
Hi, nice meeting you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you. So yes, I do recognise you. So I'm really I'm curious to revisit the steps in a way that Till's presenting and to see what emerges. I'm really interested in the games that Till's talked about. So at the beginning, so I'm just curious to see what emerges. But just to say, the reason I'm on not on visual and I'm muted is because I'm doing a little bit of multitasking as I'm listening and just doing some things in the background as well. So I didn't want that to be interruptive to the session, but I am here, I am engaged, and yeah, really looking forward to the rest of the session. So yeah, okay.
So thank you very much, Debbie. And of course you can switch off your camera if you like to. Nevertheless, if we go into sessions, later during the workshop, just let us know if it's possible to participate, and then within the session, it would certainly be great for the other team members that you then switch on your camera again.
Yeah. Sure.
And if it doesn't fit, then it doesn't fit. I mean, it's Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening or Saturday morning, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
For every one of us. So let's just make that and do it in a fashion that we actually activate playfulness, which I believe is very supportive. And I also would like to invite you very strongly to enjoy each other's company, as you have already mentioned, and feel into the field of the people that are here. They want to play with obstacles turn the things into the come here things. I love that one. And the other thing is, I also strongly invite you to make the things that I offer into your own. If you need them slightly different or widely different from my perspective onto the world, just do it. Yeah. So find this balance between taking the inspiration, which is my view, onto the world. You can try that, yeah, at moments. But if you have a strong urge, a strong desire to play a game a little bit differently today, this is not going to be wrong. This is going to be absolutely right if it increases your playfulness. Having said that, let me share my screen again. Because the first thing in the take the hit as a gift, how to own your challenges and turn them into inspirations workshop, I would actually like to brainstorm for a minute or two what for you are typically things that you would associate with the term hit or the term gift. I mean, you all came to this workshop because you said, can't be too bad. I mean, as in lowest level, or let's play with this turning hits into gifts. So let's just find a few examples of what is a typical thing that you would perceive as a hit What are typical things that you would perceive as a gift? And I'll note them down here.
Just throw them, throw associations in? That's what you're asking?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't understand.
Are you asking us to give examples now?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm happy to start. Fear, hits, fear, criticism, failures, like not reaching goals, and I'll shut up and let others talk.
Just fire away and we'll just brainstorm. There's no right and wrong here. It's just to get into the mood of to understand each other a little bit better, what kind of gifts.
Fear. I said the first one was fear.
Fear.
So,
my
go ahead.
Sorry,
Fiona first, please. And then
my printer not working.
Technique. Yes. Technique.
Feeling in. Okay, go ahead.
Losing a job, to me, is a hit.
Again, Sandra?
Losing a job.
Losing a job.
Breakup is a hit.
Breakup. That's like a relationship thing, right?
For me, feelings like jealousy.
Jealousy. That's spelled like this?
Yeah.
Feeling inadequate.
Okay, we'll continue this in a second. Just let me mirror to you back. We haven't put up a single gift up there.
Warmth of heart.
Warmth of heart.
Wide open. Good breath.
In any meaning.
Feeling connected.
Connectedness.
Feeling connected.
Having inner guidance.
Sorry,
Any guidance.
Guidance?
Guidance.
Guidance.
Within, from outside. Yeah.
How about experiencing guidance? Adrian, sorry.
Challenges, opportunity.
Sorry, Debbie, and then Adrian, please.
Challenges, opportunity.
They're both gifts?
Yeah, I would say, actually, yeah.
I'm just asking on what side to opportunities. On what side to write them. Okay, Adrian?
Learning opportunities.
Feeling grounded.
Creativity.
And feeling wholeness.
Thank you for hearing me.
Feeling?
Wholeness.
Honest?
Yeah.
Like this?
Whole. Yeah, the whole. Yeah.
Like this?
Yes.
And like-minded people as a tribe.
That's nice. Forgiveness and being forgiven.
Trust, belief.
Trust, yeah.
Beautiful.
Connectedness with my body.
Connectedness?
With my body.
Past experience.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you so much. I think Barbara, go ahead. One more.
Wisdom and sense of purpose.
Excellent. I think we could go on and on. Let me just point out how easy it was to start with the hits and how easily we got sucked into that let's collect the hits piece of the world, and it needed intervention to actually switch over to the gift side. I hope I'm leaning to the right side with respect to the screens that you're having. And that totally leads over to, one thing. Some of you have mentioned stronger hits. I mean, we even had people that had lost dear ones recently. Today is playtime. So as we only have limited point of time and it's virtual, and I actually want to invite you to play today. Today I asked you to work in your zone, as in don't take things that will crash you so strongly that it'll take like strong work to get out of that. But rather today, in order to implement the techniques that we have, use hits that don't knock you out immediately, but that only make you stagger a little bit. So let's get into the description of the model that I would like to present today as the first key item of today, and then go play. As I figured out, especially again on Thursday, what I try to do is come with a fairly stringent analytical model of things, which can feel a little bit dry, and then play with it. So how does an event that occurs actually influence the experience that I have with it? Where the simple model would be, will it feel like a hit, or will it feel like a gift? Key element is that it depends exceptionally strongly on the relationship that you actually take towards that event. So it's the relationship that you create, or the relationship that you hold and have towards any event, that will dominate or lead to the experience that you're having with respect to this event. So that's number one. Number two is reality is constructed. That means there is sensory input, like I'm a physicist, so I'd say photons that come and enter your eyes. That would be the sensory input that you have. But the input that you get is being filtered. All of the priming research relies strongly on that, or figures that out, that you cannot absorb all the information that you get from your surrounding adequately and on a same level. But rather what your brain does in very many functions is to filter out specific sensory input data and put that into your reality construct that is being created within you. And if I paint a brain in here, your whole body actually is part of that experience. Like the somatic representation that you get of that reality construct is not only happening in your brain alone, but the communication between the more voluntary and the involuntary part of your brain works a lot via images and via the body. Yet, your system, our system, is unable to deal with incomplete models. The key example being you spending a night in the woods, and if you wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and you hear a twig snap, or actually you woke up because you heard it snap, it's not like you lie there and say, I heard a twig snap. But rather, immediately your imagination kicks in and creates something that has actually caused that twig to snap. And typically, the thoughts that we are having are not the most gentle ones, but rather what we create are things that we fear, things that present a danger to us, like the typical example of what you create in order to give reason to the twig snapping would be the saber-toothed tiger. And your bodily reaction, your physiological reaction is exactly the same towards the saber-toothed tiger that you imagined and the saber-toothed tiger that you see. Actually, the saber-toothed tiger that you see probably is not as fearsome as the one that you imagined, because the one that you imagine doesn't have a biological limit in size, fangs, power, as the real one actually has. The other thing that enters into the reality construct are memories. If I speak of a journey that I have taken recently, you cannot stop from looking into your memory about your own journeys that you have taken. And if I want to convey my experience of my last journey, it will immediately get convoluted. What's the word I'm looking for? I didn't want to say polluted, but influenced strongly by the thoughts that you were having of your last journey. And if I recall my last vacation and then say, it actually was a skiing vacation, and maybe you have to do a twist in your brain because your last vacation has been at the ocean, and you have to actually discard that feeling and the waves that you were already seeing of the sea when I talk about the mountains. So the reality construct is something that needs to have some sort of completeness, and it actually contains these three sources: sensory input, what other people would call the reality, memories, and imagination. And if I rearrange this picture a little bit,
Can I ask a question? Just a moment.
Yes, please.
Would you mind revisiting the thing that you just said about the memories? I had a hard time catching it. The sea and the waves, and I was like, couldn't.
If I talk about, I was trying to make an example, and the example I was making, if I speak to somebody else like you, when I talk about my last vacation, my last journey that I took, everybody here will probably think about their last journey as well, right? And your last journeys and vacations will probably differ in many places from the journey that I have undertaken. So if I say my vacation, in your head, you get something like a mixture between my vacation and your vacation. Because the reality construct that is being created in your mind is being sourced by my saying the word vacation, by your last vacation, and potentially your imagination. And depending on whether you're in a good or in an awful state, probably you can think of very good parts how a vacation should be, or really terrible ones. Like, do you more think of beautiful sun and white beaches, or the Titanic, which for many actually also was a vacation? So there's a lot of dynamic in the reality that is being created, which is independent or only correlated to the input that you have received. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you so much. It was great.
Most welcome. Yeah. So if I just rearrange this picture a little bit, it's an event, parts of which we put into the reality construct because the information that's coming in is being filtered, and it's augmented and changed by memories and by imagination. And of course, the memories that we pick and the imaginations that we picked are filtered as well, or you could also say they're selected. So now, if I add that with the model that we have been talking about before, it's actually the relationship that you get towards that reality construct that you have created that leads to the experience that you're having. Okay? So now we have taken this, it's the relationship that dominates my experience and this reality construct item and put them together. Two more to go. And then the first is that I want to add. Yeah, again, of course, all of the right-hand side happens within you, right? And it's just the event piece that is outside of it. So the next model that I want to add to that is a very basic model of the generative change that actually says people come in two states. They come in a crash state, and they come in a coach state. If I work with business people, I often turn that into the charm state abbreviation. If I work in a coaching context, it's absolutely okay to speak in a coach state. It's a really nice abbreviation. And asking people to remain charming or come back to that charm state works for me very well. So to remind you real quick, the crash state is the closed and reactive, analysis, paralyzed, separated, and hurting state, which has its benefits, typically only for short term. And then the charm or coach state is the centered and connected one, the holding one, the aware one, the relaxed one, the mindful one. And while in crashed state, you typically have a limited focus and think about guilt and judge items and think about problems. In the coach state, we have access to our intelligence and creativity. So if you want to make change with playfulness, it's very, very, well, not only helpful, but actually necessary to be in coach state. Let's put that into the model, because the state I'm in strongly influences, especially what filters, and that's of course for all of the 3 filters. It's just too many arrows. If I tried, it looks more confusing. So this arrow actually relates to all the filters and to the relationship that I'm taking. And you can already see that this system becomes cyclic in nature. It's your state that influences your filter, that changes your reality construct, that influences your relationship, which changes your experience, which in turn, of course, has a strong influence on your state. And then you can either be in the, say hit spiral downwards, or in the gift spiral upwards. And of course, it changes with time. So, and this is the final model of today, there is time dependency in this whole piece. Just think of the 5 phases of grief that of course introduce a time dependency into this whole system. So that's that. The event, how do you call it? The whole big, model that I want to be working with today. Is that understandable? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Let's play. For the thing is, this whole system, as cyclically dependent as it is, gives us the possibility to actually jump into each and every part of that and start playing. Some of you have put me in the interesting position that you registered for both workshops, Thursday and today. I love it. Yes, originally I had planned to do the same thing today as I did on Thursday. And I think that is okay from the perspective of the theoretical foundation of this mini workshop. But in order to put more diversity into it, I just chose to come up with a long list of games. And what we did on Thursday was play the first 3 ones. So today I would like to invite you to play the next 3 ones. Just so that we are on the same level, that everybody who didn't join on Thursday, let me take 2 more minutes and give you a brief story about what we did on Thursday, so that you kind of get into the spirit of that before we then enter into the next game. Also, I will put together the 2 recordings, the one from the first session and the one from today, and cut 1 recording out of it, so that all of these games that we actually play are in it, so that you can revisit what people shared. Because so typically we did 10-minute breakout sessions per game, which gives us about enough time to play 3 more games. So the coach state game, the one that we played on Thursday, was we actually modeled crash. So typically people go into, how can I get into coach state? How does coach state feel like? What do you do? Do you breathe? Do you center? Do you do an imagination game? Well, on Thursday, we turned it around and said, well, understand yourself in crash. What is your somatic representation of crash? Yeah. Well, I practice aikido. My representation of crash is not that one. My representation of crash actually changes from this to this. And it's right. The difference is my vision focuses to a very little spot, like the eye of Mordor. That's my crash state representation. It took me a time to figure that out. But now if I realize that my vision tunnels, I know I have crashed. So what I can do is I try to open my vision, my field of vision again, and try to perceive things from the side, and my system changes. So that was the game that we played on Thursday. And we have people who played it. Is there somebody who wants to share a quick experience? Just an option that I don't do all the talking in the first half of our workshop. So if there's anybody who would actually like to share an experience with that game, if something comes to mind, go ahead. If not, it's fine. Achim.
I had my little Indiana Jones moment. So being able to play with the crash just showed me more things about it that I didn't know, and was able to engage with adventure time instead of being scared of, ooh, crash.
I remember that we actually had the music then playing in the background all the time when things occur, and we realized the Indiana Jones movie definitely needs the hits. Otherwise, it will be way too boring. Thank you very much, Achim. Yeah, as I said before, we're going to do this in breakout sessions, and typically one person brings in the problem, the hit, and then people help with the game that we're playing. So the second thing that we did was and let me point again here on the side in the model. So we entered into the state realm. And of course, everybody who has done generative coaching, generative change knows about the importance of the state and knows about the importance of the coach state. It's just not the key focus of our workshop today. The imagination game then enters the model in the imagination. What was the game? Well, let me click back so that we can take a look at the model. The reality construct both takes facts and takes imagination to create your construct. And it's hard to discern because, as I said before, the physiological reaction that you have to the thought of alien or saber-toothed tiger is identical to the real one. So somehow the wiring in the brain forgot that one piece in the protocol that kind of gives a footnote to this part of your reality, by the way, is imagined, and this part of your reality is actually fact. So in order to discern, we play the game by taking a situation and change it around in the wildest manner you can think of, so that it still fits the facts. Classical example, be in my office tomorrow at 11. That could be, the fact is the email, but the imagination is, oh damn, I'm going to be sacked. Oh damn, yeah, I fucked up this problem, this project. By changing that into something like, I will get promoted, or do you want to coach me? Whatever. You start to realize that what part of your reality or construct is the imagination part, and what part actually is the facts. Because that's what remains unchanged between the different scenarios that we play with. That's the facts. So let me ask again. Would there be somebody who has an immediate recollection of something that happened on Thursday to give another perspective onto that game? Fiona, yeah, please.
Just to reiterate what happened when you did the brainstorm with the hit, one's mind went straight to a hit situation rather than the imagination taking you somewhere different.
Mm-hmm. So kind of a connection to the earlier piece that we did today, right?
Yeah, yeah. We were. we instantly went to, I used the word negative and positive. So we instantly went to the negative things rather than the positive things, which the imagination can take you either way. And my memory of Thursday and the example that we were looking at went straight to the negative imagination rather than the positive.
Yeah.
It just seems to be more instantaneous than the positive one.
Absolutely. And in my belief, it's wired into our brains, and it's absolutely adequate for situations during the night in the jungle, because you survive more easily if you are frightened. Mm. The problem is today, in today's time, that we have these moments, these triggers too often. Because what happens when you imagine the saber-toothed tiger is that, for example, your immune system stops, digestion stops. That all goes into muscle power, into putting your energy is distributed into let's survive the next 10 minutes. And you don't need your immune system to survive the next 10 minutes. You need it to survive the next, well, we have a pandemic. So nevertheless, you need your immune system, but not while you fight the tiger. But if you have these triggers every 10 minutes that get you into the 10-minute phase of not having an immune system that's running, that's bad. So the idea behind the imagination game then is to become aware of the imagination that you're choosing and have more power about which ones to choose in which situation. So that was our second game. And then the third that we played was the future game, where, which, let me go back, which is actually about time. Yeah, we went so far into the future that we could turn around and look at the situation that we perceive as a hit today from a distance, so that we can say, this is truly the past. And then kind of write the press release about how you would want to read in the future about how you reacted to that hit today. Make sense? Yeah, conscious of time. If somebody has like the item that they want to share, go ahead. But I think you're getting the idea already of how the games are being played. So let's look at today. Yeah, that's where we stopped on Thursday. We played with the state, we played with imagination, and we played with time. So the next game I would like to invite you, the first game for those who joined us for the first session today, is to focus in this model on the filters that we apply. So take an event, take a situation, something that you perceive as a hit. And then we try to harvest the event by actually trying to filter out different aspects of this particular scenario. So rather than judging the whole event, we try to find that small, or maybe not so small, but the however little part of the event that we actually liked. And then we try to discern, that's another filter regulation piece, what part of this event is unchangeable and what part of the event is actually something that I might influence. Just as a discerning part of understanding this event, what part of it can I change? What part can I change not? And as a third filter piece, I would like to invite you to look at the event and seek understandings and learnings from it. Again, this will potentially, if it is a hit, be the smallest part of it. Maybe not so small, but there will be an option what you can learn or understand from it. As I stated already on Thursday, there are many different hits out there. And there are certain hits for which it is more easy to turn them into gifts by playing the state game and work towards your coach state. And there are some of them where playing with the imagination piece is very helpful. For example, this email situation that I've been speaking about earlier on, that's a very good example for the coach state, for the imagination game. So also right now, trying to pick a hit that you want to play with that actually has something in there that you can like, that you can influence or not, or that you can learn something from, is for the sake of our playfulness today, one where I would say choose one where this is easier than one where this is impossible. I say that every hit that you get at some point in time will offer you the opportunity that you can actually like parts of it, that you can actually understand what parts you can influence and what parts you cannot, and that in every one of them there is a learning, however small. Invitation today would be to pick one where this can easily be played with. So we'll create breakout sessions. Let me stop sharing so that I can actually see all your faces again. Is that clear what we want to do? Tamar.
Again, I'm sorry, I've had a long day today. When you talk about harvest the event, can you give an example? Like what? I'm not sure I understood.
Give me any hit. My printer doesn't work.
People don't register to a workshop that I want to offer.
People don't register.
I can't ask for the price that I want to ask for.
Okay, I can't ask the price that I want to ask for it. So the three questions that I, for this particular game, would invite you to play is, what parts of that situation do you actually like?
But I was asking about the second question. What do you mean by try to harvest the event? That was
the harvest is kind of the overtitle of the three questions below. So by asking questions that are numbered here 3, 4, and 5 towards the event, the results I would consider to be a harvest.
All right, now I get
Which is of course already priming you. So I'm setting your filters onto this exercise being something that you can benefit from.
Right.
So I'm just using the whole model in order to get you onto the track to be able to play with the situation.
All right.
So you take the situation where you seem not to be able to ask the price. And then the question is, well, what part of that do you actually like? Well, your first reaction would be nothing. And then you maybe take the 3 deep breaths and you go a little bit into coach state. And then you realize, hang on. Maybe I'm inviting you to playfulness. So I say, what can you actually change? I can change a lot. You can change the price.
Mm-hmm.
You can change the number of people that you try to reach. You can try to change advertising. You can try to change the content. You can try, there's so many things that you can actually influence, but there are some things that you cannot. For example, bottom line needs to be that I earn money. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Or what can I learn from it? Well, if people don't register, something in the system is not as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
No. What do you like about the event? I'm sure you like a workshop. Yeah. Okay. So do you understand the idea? It's the three questions here.
Yeah. Okay. Now I get it. Yeah.
And yes, I absolutely get it that there is optimization potential in this transparency. So 10 minutes. The idea would be to go one way. It's play day. It's not, training day. It's play day. We are 13 people minus me makes 12. 4 breakout sessions. There would be 3 people. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good size. So one person offers a hit, and then either the other 2 work together or if that's too complicated, just name one of the other two, kind of the coach, and the other one the supporter, to simplify the construct. But I'm sure you find a way that makes a lot of sense. I might be hopping in and out of the session, but I will switch off my camera so as not to disturb you. I might not do it. I'll see. I denied it to me on Thursday, and everybody came back smiling. So just today, I want to warn you that to catch on, I might do that. I will leave that option open to me. So it's 4 rooms, automatic assignment, 10 minutes with an additional 60-second timeout. And if there are no more questions, let's go. Enjoy. Been there, done that. It looks like my carry away is already picking up, carrying away smiles. As is already our custom, yeah, Bilonda already has a wonderful opportunity to turn hits into gifts, because she accidentally left the breakout session early. And then I had the hit she asked me, put me back again. And I'm like, doesn't work. So very sorry for not being able to comply. Life's life. So what sharings did you carry away from the first of our today's exercises? Fiona, yes, please.
They're lovely questions. And it felt very important for someone else to ask them of me rather than me doing it myself.
Thank you. Beautiful one. Yeah. Like one of the key sales arguments for coaching: separate the process from the content. That's like if the boss of a company doesn't want to moderate his own strategic workshops because he wants to participate in full in the content. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Thank you very much. More?
Well, I liked Achim was my coach, and I really liked that he was very empathic, and but always took me back to the point of, okay, what, where's the curiosity in that? And I found this very helpful, and also relating to somatic models, really also to show in your body, like, where is it? And you get an orientation. And with me, it was that exactly the part which was the one which was showing or getting the hit. It's the same part actually that is curious.
Now, isn't that beautiful to observe? Yeah, and it kind of augments what Fiona just said, that it's so much easier if somebody else helps you with the outside perspective of actually playing with that. Because the model that we're working on today, it has this cyclic dependency, and if you are in this tense, in this hit perspective of the whole system, all the perspectives that we are working upon can help you. But if you actually have somebody who takes you by the ear and pulls a little bit and says, no, don't forget, the game that we're playing right now is the game of curiosity, and not the game of self-destruct. We do that a little later, when it's pop time and the cocktails are on. I just realized, this is being recorded. Now my daughter is actually creating cocktails. I'm so hoping that I get one that would be so appropriate for pop time later on. But let's see. Teenagers are one of the greatest pieces of training to turn hits into gifts. Don't laugh, Achim. Do you have kids? Okay, maybe we have 1 or 2 more experiences from the group, from the breakout sessions. That would be lovely. Lydia, you're leaving. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. And now I see you don't want to interrupt the flow by not saying goodbye. I'm very sorry to have foiled that plan. No, spoiled? Failed? Whatever. You know what I want to say. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah. So coming back to the questions, I would love to hear 1 or 2 more reports from what you experienced by applying these questions, these filter-oriented questions on a hit that you were playing with. if your experience were private and not shareable, I understand, which only takes me to interpreting that as your desire and need to play the next game. Fine by me. Take the hit as an indicator for get it on. Let me return to the slides. Okay. I'm so curious about the next one. I must admit that I have been playing this game only in a physical presence version so far. It is actually a game that I want to play on the topic of relationship. And the game that I want to play comes from the following perspective that I use in coaching sessions. If I coach somebody, I try to create a very strong relationship to that person, to walk in their world. While at the same time, so one of my feet is walking in their world, but the other foot needs to be resonant with what is happening with me, both for being able to actually work on the process piece and observe where are we in the procedure that we want to take, and to observe my own state. And if I crash, the first thing I do is I cut the relationship to my client. Very, very explicitly and very, very clearly, without stating it, absolutely not, but certainly doing it. So, and then I work on my own state. Typically that for me is change in breath, change in posture, maybe sit up a little bit more straight, relax the shoulders, take a deep breath, ramp up my state again, and then reconnect. And I would like to invite you to play with that with a partner. So the exercise itself is fairly simple. Yeah, I wrote here, remember the holon-holachy system. Remember that it's absolutely true that you are a system by yourself and that you and your partner together are also a system. And then without speaking and without indicating by any mean gestures or any other way, just imagine and envision to switch off the connection that you have to that person and try to switch it on again. And observe what's happening with yourself. And this is, I totally state, this is an experiment that we are doing here. I know that in the physical world, working with these relationships works extremely well. And if you do it with a person just by standing opposite of them and work on your connection, you typically can feel the difference. Let's try take the hit of the pandemic, which gets us together here in a Zoom session, and try what it does to us when we do that in a video session. Let's not try for 10 minutes. I think that will be absolutely too long. Yeah, stare at each other for 10 minutes. Like, do you know this movie? Men trying to kill goats with their views, with their hilarious movies where they create this special unit that, you know, uses paranormal forces, and they train by staring at goats and trying to make them fall over dead, and it doesn't work. So to take it from the hilarious perspective of actually trying if you can perceive something that happens, and even if the other person has difficulties to observe that over the screen, observe what is happening within yourself if you work mentally by imagination with how does it feel if you focus on the connection that you establish with somebody, and how it feels if you cut that connection. And one last hint, typically it's very easy to do that by closing your eyes. Okay? Try not to do it. Try to do this exercise with your eyes open. So that's not a straight giveaway. Like I'm picking somebody, I take Caroline, I look at her, and then I'm like, that's not what I mean. It's more like getting the connection and then going to myself again. For me, it's a lot like if you have a focus item like a glowing ball or something that you could project, Jedi forces and so forth, whether I put it within me as a focus of attention or whether I put it between the two of us. You're up for a try? The worst that can happen is, and I went deep down to the bottom of my soul and I found nothing. Okay? I'm sure that's the baseline. And then anything above that is just more. You know the song? It's from a chorus line. Yeah. Highly recommendable musical.
Maybe, Till?
Yeah.
Just quick, because I'm confused because I have a concept in my head already of this. So I just sit in the presence of the other person. Or not? Just looking into the eyes of the other person. Is this what we are doing right now?
That's what you're doing physically.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it
Okay.
helps you to move, well, move. If you have another concept, decide for yourself whether you want to combine it with this idea or do something else. It's playfulness day.
Yeah, no. I'm trained because I worked for Marina Abramovic, and the audition was to look in somebody's eyes for 1.5 hours. So and I feel like I don't get it. I'm like, I'm trained.
Okay.
I don't get it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have that time. It would certainly be very. No, the thing is,
What do I do physically?
Okay, what you do? I invite you to do that for 4 minutes, and after 2 minutes, I will send you a message. And in the first, well, maybe we only need 2 minutes for that. Let's try 2 minutes each direction. Okay. And what you do, Sandra?
So we are not, thank you, Bilonda, for that, because I was also, so we are not supposed to work on a topic. It's not about, okay, it's just.
No, this is just trying to work consciously of establishing and stopping a relationship. And one of the strongest relationships I could think of is the relationship to another human being. Okay. So you just sit, or if you prefer to stand, and then you just choose one person is the active person and the other person is the observer person, or the one that is being connected to. And you do that for a while, and then you decide to switch. And then you just do it back and forth for a little while. And we do that for a few minutes. And I'm so curious about what you're going to experience. I said before, one of my backgrounds is the aikido background. This is a very strong thing to discern whether you want to have a relationship or a connection to somebody, or if you don't want to have it. So there is something interesting to be found. And also on the meta level, on how easy this will be for you, there's something interesting to be observed. As we are now 12 people, I will join into the exercise so that we can actually make 2 people. Let's just do that for 4 minutes. I'll do a 4-minute breakout with 5 rooms, join one of them myself, and then you just agree who is going to be the active in the beginning and he's going to be the passive person. And you as a passive person, you just observe what you see. And then you do that for a moment, you create the connection and you stop it with as little hints that you give away for the other side, but with an inner imagination game of your choice. I offered you the one with this energy ball technique, taking the focus of attention to you as a person, taking the focus of attention to you as a joint system. Change back and forth between these two, and then say, okay, I'm done. Switch sides, debrief, come back. Okay? Hang on. 12 divided by 2 is not 5. The physicist speaking. Okay. No. I need to set this to 5 minutes. Let's play with that. Let's go.
Okay.
Smile check. So let's share a few experiences. Did it work for you?
Huh?
Yeah. What did you experience?
I could start if you wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I worked with Marlies. Marlies, thank you so much. And we discovered it was really, to me, it was very interesting because I started out as being the active part. And to me, it was very difficult to break the contact to Marlies. To me, it was really, I really had to focus and concentrate hard to not be in touch. And it was interesting because for you, it was vice versa, Marlies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me, it was more difficult to come back.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Thank you, Till. And it's so interesting to also see how you feel it online. So the field, how it works online as well, so well.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much, Sandra, for
Thank
this
you,
experience too.
Danke.
Danke dir.
Okay, what else did you experience? I'm sure we had 12 different experiences, at least.
So, so
Debbie?
so often when I'm coaching, I will work, ask the coachee to shut their eyes and just, breathe and just get into the zone. And I find I shut my eyes with them. And so to connect. So I actually thought it was quite a challenge to do it with my eyes open. So that was interesting. And then I felt I started to practice the peripheral vision, because I found the focus too much. So I started to soften my vision and see if I could just do the peripheral vision and focus on like just one thing, but very softly. So then I felt I was starting to get more of a connection with Tamar, because I worked with Tamar, who, so we didn't get time to sort of talk it through afterwards, but it was a really interesting experience, actually. I'm still processing. I think the eyes open thing was a bit weird for me.
Yeah, understandable.
Shutting my eyes and doing the, I often shut my eyes and do that to get the energy down, and I do this. So to do open, I was maybe like a sort of a deer in the headlights, the beginning.
Absolutely, and of course, it's 5 minutes is a little to bring it to mastery.
Yeah.
Yet being able to use somatic representation of things and imagining techniques with your eyes open is a very, very powerful tool. Yeah. So as I thought when I kind of created this work, I thought I want to come with challenges and exercises that are different from those that other people bring, and especially in a martial arts context, it's totally recommendable to have your eyes open at all times, even if you want to work on your inner state. Just to give you that perspective. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more.
Well, actually, it was funny because I think probably I misinterpreted. I was working with Bilonda, and I thought at first she was all by herself, and then later on I felt a connection, and she just said it was the other way around.
Hilarious, absolutely. While I was doing it, I thought like I should create an app that we could actually record the truth, or actually what the other person does, so that you can later on figure out whether you've got it correctly or not. Yeah, next time then. But it's really funny that it looks different than what it actually is like. And another footnote to that indicates that whenever you're in a coaching session, you can work with that, and your client has a hard time realizing what's going on, especially if it's correlated with a coach crash state thing. because actually they don't want to have a connection with you while you're in crash. That's not what that's not the product they bought. They want to have a connection with you while you're in coach state. Yeah, thank you, Corinna. Maybe one more?
And for me, it was quite a surprise, the feedback, actually, because I thought, interesting, because what I observed is when I'm with the other person, then I feel like really I'm complete with the other person. My body is like really almost muting away. So I vibrate, you know, with the other side, and then I tried to go in between, you know, so I feel my heartbeat, I hear my breath, and I'm there. And I just, what showed me really a difference was where can I feel energy in my body, and my eyes. Like my eyes were somehow inside and outside, inside and outside. And I felt energy here when I'm with me, also when I pull back from a person, probably when somebody else is around, my energy is mainly here, whatever that means. I just observed it. So yeah, it was interesting to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the experience.
Thank you very much for sharing. And it makes total sense to have a representation of having energy floating around in specific parts of the body. It's a representation of something that you experience, so it's your reality construct, and that in itself is proof enough that it's real. I did the exercise with Adrian, and I was in the active role first, and it's so interesting to see how suddenly when I cut the connection, I realized that I am in a room. Yes, so reality around me came back, and for me it was also a very somatic and physical experience. And the interesting thing was then in the second round, when I turned into the passive role, I realized that I did the same thing, just involuntarily. So I realized that the intensity of the connection that I had changed from there I have it and I'm observing. And then I realized, oh, I have cut it. And oh, I have reestablished connection again. So that was a very interesting experience for me. Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's move on. One more I want to play with you. And maybe, yeah, if we overstep for 5 minutes today before we officially go to the pub time, is that difficult for you? Anybody has a tight appointment at the full hour? Excellent. So we did that. I have 2 more games actually prepared, and I think we can play only one. So maybe I will skip sort of over the dissonance game and just mention it to you that you can play it yourself. The idea of the dissonance game is to really go into that kind of standard approach of the step 5 of the generative coaching process and observe within your whole system those things that don't match each other. And again, that is one that is best played with a coach or with somebody that's coaching you to help you find pieces of the whole game that don't fit with respect to each other. Like you have filter systems, imaginary pieces, you put together items of the system from different times. These are the kind of items that regularly show up in generative coaching or in any coaching sessions that there are obstacles. And the key idea of this game is, or would have been, to locate such dissonances anywhere within the field, within the coach, within the coachee, in the whole field, so as to welcome these dissonances as sources of information, and then play around with parts of the field to shuffle it around. Yeah, conscious of time, I would absolutely love to play the utilization game, which is a kind of partner to the filter game. And again,
Very good. Thank you. I like those executive decisions. Thank you for doing this work.
Thibaut, how good to have you here.
Hi, I'm multitasking, so.
You are absolutely. So welcome. You popped into the third game of today as well.
Perfect.
Excellent. So the invitation that you have for this game is, again, in groups. You take an event, a situation, a challenge, anything that you would consider, that you at least would have considered half an hour ago to be a hit. And then you explicitly try to utilize this event. That means the 3 key questions I would like you to answer for yourself for that event. What can you gain from the event as it has occurred? How can you benefit from it? And how can you use it or parts of it to your advantage? I explicitly invite you to use all the prior games that we played before. Because, you know, in the model that we're using, we have these cyclic dependencies. If you look at an event, it's highly probable that you crash. It's highly probable that your imagination augments the event with negative imaginations. It augments it with negative memories, with items that you actually don't like. It's easily possible that you have a hard time creating a positive relationship to that event. So use all of these items, change your state, work on your filters, choose your imagination, choose memories that benefit you, explicitly cut and uncut the relationship to that particular event. Move forward in time, move backward in time. You can use all these items in order to come up with as many different and possible answers concerning that situation about what can you gain from it, how can you benefit from it, and how can you use it to your advantage. And while these questions sound fairly similar, for me, one of the differences is how active a part you play. What can you gain for me would be the one where you take least activity to do something with it. It's more in the observing part. Whereas use it, it's more like improv theater, where somebody throws you an unexpected line and it's everything you do with it is allowed, and the only thing forbidden is to deny its existence. So this is like improv theater with a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
So, let me count. We're 12. I say we create 4 rooms with 3 people. Then one person can put in again a hit. One person can function as somebody who helps answering these questions, and the third person kind of supports the coach, supports the whole system. And I'll put it up again for 10 minutes and 1 extra minute, and then we come back, reflect, and then it will already be time to wrap up for today. If you don't have any more questions right now, what can you gain? How can you benefit? How can you actually take advantage of it would be the questions. Think of Milton Erickson, like the epitome of people that taught us how to utilize.
Oh, take us out as we're in the middle of this thing.
Welcome back, everybody. Own your challenges games, the last discipline of today. I'm so curious. How did it go? What did you experience? I do see smiles.
I'm just amazed how much you can do in a short time. It's just amazing.
It's so nice that you say that, because I always feel like, oh, 2 hours already up. damn, and I have a lot more thoughts about what I would actually like to play with. So thank you very much for that perspective, a gift for me. I would so strongly invite people who haven't spoken up today to share something. Yet I understand if you don't want to, but I would love to encourage those who have not yet shared something to speak up.
I can share because I didn't talk earlier on, and this time I did the exercise. I was like the explorer. I did go into my crash state. It was very soundy, strong, and I had two coaches, and it was interesting having two different coaches, so that there were more input in my work. One interesting input was coming from analyzing my body, and another one was from analyzing the images, some tips on how to work on the body, and also some tips how to give an interpretation to my images. What I like at the end, something positive came out. What the question was, how can it be how can you have a benefit from what you see? And there was a benefit, like if I have this image, is saying to me, it's time to move on, to do something about it. It's like an information for me to say something is not right, you should take care of it. So that it was a very, very successful mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing, Barbara. That does make a lot of sense to me. Very many of the hits that we get, I believe strongly, are actually hints of the universe that you need to get your act together and do something about it. And in most cases, or in many cases, it's hard to see at the time being, and maybe you can just observe it later. So I changed my professional course because we got another child after 10 years, and I went into parental leave and then started to look into mediation and found the parallels of mediation and aikido, and then went into the embodiment perspective. So I was so lucky to actually get the gift as a gift that can happen to you as well. Thank you, Barbara. One more before we wrap it up. A sharing from exercise from the game number 7.
I want to thank very much Tamar and Corinna, and it was a very good experience in the short time, and the questions they asked me were very inviting for a change of perspective. So thank them both very, very much. And you, thank you very much for this experience.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you very much. So, time to wrap it up. The summary, in essence, for me, is that image that I have invited you on Thursday and today to take this model that reality is a construct constructed from the event itself and augmented by memories and by imagination to create a reality construct that may or may not have similarities to the actual event. And it's the relationship that we create to that construct, to that map of the event that dominates our experience. And it's our state we're in, which is also in the cyclic reference system, and it strongly changes with time. And as we have seen today, it's very, very helpful to have somebody who nicely and friendly in a friendly fashion holds both this model and you in their field to help you change perspective by hopping around in the different perspective and just change perspective so that you take the hit as a gift, which in essence is a change of perspective, and hence gain the ability to own the challenges that you have. And by own the challenges, I mean be in the active, like conductor's place, to work with your inner system that you obtain the interpretation that is adequate for you and your situation. So we played the games actually, and let me remark once again, there is no optimal one entry point into the system. I mean, state is a good one per default, but starting at any other place is a fine thing as well. So activating your playfulness based on solid analysis, but then be playful with it, that would be the key invitation that I want to share with you. Yeah, I put that in the note, beware, especially, and that comes again strongly from the Aikido perspective. If you push against a problem, it gets more power over you. The stronger the main media was bitching about President Trump, the more followers he got. Avoiding, on the other hand, is not the solution as well, because then it'll get you when you're the weakest. So it's this sweet spot of non-resistance that you can learn from the martial arts, from the inner martial arts, that you get an inner state that you become extremely stable without actually having to push against incoming forces. I think I could do another 3-day workshop on this topic alone. So let me just, sorry?
For me, there is a need to practice it through the body.
Yeah, yeah. Somatic representation is so helpful. Yeah. So my approach I call Enter the Gap, because often we just experience this pressure where problem and solution just smash you into bits, and you either get into a problem trance or a solution discovery trance. And it's this invitation to enter a gap between problem and solution, where problem solutioning can actually occur. This is also where I find the model that I have shared with you today to be most powerful. So in order to sustain this gap, in order to be able to change your inner state, that you can work from the problem to the solution in complex and in challenging situations, I believe that you need both a process to follow and the corresponding mindset. And then they strongly depend upon each other. And I don't want to get into the details of the problems, but they have to deal with, it's kind of the Aikido person speaking that you need to accept the problem. It's the mediator speaking that you need to shift towards the solution criteria before you actually can go to them. And it's the coach taking his turn that you need to activate resources in a process procedure to solve these problems. And today we have worked upon the take the hit as a gift, as one of the 3, what I call the Aikido mindset principles. The state piece is strongly correlated with that. And the responsibility piece would be the 3rd, where I say you need to have a solidly distributed way where responsibility needs to be in the system. You need to work on state of everybody within the system, and you need that what we have played with, which is the ability to take the hit as a gift. If you want more of that, of course, you find more resources on my homepage, and I invite you to join this year's IATC conference, which will take place in the midst of April. And I will be presenting a masterclass there on the topic of Aikido teachings and generative work. So whoever has listened to Robert and Steve talk about generative change know that they do make use of the Aikido work in several perspectives. And I will give my interpretation of that at the conference. And if you look at the conference, this is only just one tiny bit of that what you can get there. And it's certainly worth checking out if there's something in there for you. Having said that, thank you so much for your energy and attention today. I invite you to thank each other for holding and giving space today for playfulness in dire times. In Germany, we are in months of lockdown, and it feels like it will just be extended for a little bit longer. So each moment where we can share joint experiences and experience each other's support, especially in holding difficult items, things that we consider to be gifts, and jointly support each other to turn them into gifts, I think it's a gift in itself. So we close the official part. I'm of course happy if you want to relate experiences that you've had during this workshop, and we switch to the kind of informal part directly afterwards. If need be, if you have still questions, if you want to make some more comments, and if you just have the desire to go to dinner, I'm absolutely happy with that as well. So thank you very much. A pleasure.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. I'd love to join you for a cocktail, but I do have to go and make dinner.
Yeah.
I would love some more of these. It just feels such a treat, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy to do so. Yeah, I'll think of something and share.
Yeah, love the games. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, Fiona. Take care. Enjoy your food. Enjoy cooking.
Till, I would just love to appreciate the 2 offerings you did. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
And at the end of it, I was crying of joy of the impact of the support that I received.
Thank you so much also. It was a wonderful experience, those both sessions. And I think it's also a wonderful community. It feels like coming home, and well, I just can say, wow. Thanks a lot. And I will join the ICU and we will see us there.
The IAGC conference.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. And yes, as Marlies wrote in the chat, there will be follow-up options to get deeper into that kind of work that I'm offering. Yeah.
Right.
I need more of that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Tamara.
Yes, me too. I feel I want to go to and leave it like that for now. And it was very great. And I took the playfulness that I wanted to bring into my life, and yeah, on the topic of obstacles. So it's very, yeah, thank you a lot. And I enjoy to see you, Achim.
Well, thank you very much, Adrian, for joining.
It's so great. Thank you so much. Wow.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful work, really. I knew why I wanted to be here.
I need to go as well. Bilonda, Tamar, Marlies, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Have a nice evening.
Stay
Thank
in
you very
touch.
much.
Bye-bye. Bye, kids.
Bye.